So today, the goal and objective is this will essentially be part 2 of our conversation about completing a CMA and picking comps for a home. Okay, and less about the presentation of it, more about the analytics that you're going to do. Okay, and so what we'll and maybe we should do a part 3 where we take that and turn it into a presentation CMA, so that we can then get that piece of the puzzle fixed. But again, this is more about doing a CMA for you to determine what your either your recommended price to list a home would be, or your recommended offer, kind of the baseline of where your recommended offer would be if you're representing a buyer that is interested in a particular house. It is the exact same process that you go through either way. Okay, it's the analytics. It's the main function that you hold by you using your skills, your experience, and your training to be able to make a recommendation on the right price for a house. Okay, and this is really where the rubber meets the road. This is what ultimately where you're going to make your money at, is the analytics, the thought processes behind, because your clients are relying on you to make a recommendation on the right price to offer for the house or the right price to list the house for. Okay, so let's go through the analytics of that. All right, so we didn't get very far. We kind of covered the baseline of places to start. So I'm going to review very briefly, and I'm going to try to keep it very, very brief so that we can kind of not skimp on the thought processes and the analytics behind it. Okay, so let me share my screen here. Bear with me. Okay, what are y'all looking at right now?
Your desktop.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted.
Hey, Jay,
okay,
I got
so
a
we're going to
question.
Yeah.
Would this CMA also give us an idea of, because if someone asks us like, hey, what do you think this house will appraise for? I know we can't tell them that because obviously appraisers can only do that, but would the CMA give us a kind of an idea of where we think it will appraise for?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay, so the first order of business when you are evaluating a property is I want to look at the tax records, because the tax records have all that good information in them. All right. So the one that we are doing is one that it's actually a listing for one of our agents, or the Maxwell team here. And it is currently, when we started this a week ago, it was still pending. And the reason we were doing it was because Julia had just done an open house here and had people say, well, I think it's priced too high. Well, so that's what we're going to determine here. All right. But the first order of business is to look at the tax records. All right. We're looking at a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It is currently listed at $515. When it got listed, it is 2,300 square feet. The lot size, 11,302 square foot. If you want to convert that to acres, it's right here. Lot acres is let's just say round it to 0.26. So just over a quarter of an acre. And it was built in 1979. Okay, that's the baseline of what we're going through. You can also see what they paid in taxes, 2019, 2020, 2021. Gosh, it's been the exact same. There's been no change over the last 3 years. That's rare, by the way. You don't see that very often. Okay, here's details about the house, what the above ground square footage is versus the below ground, the finished square footage, total bathrooms, all of this good information. There's basement square footage that is 720, and that is basement finished square footage. Okay, all of this is good information. Number of fireplaces. What else is on here? So you can also see the real AVM, which is the estimated value, and that's based off of a computer algorithm. This tells me it's at 496 with a confidence score of a 75. Okay, confidence score of a 75. If you were in high school English class, a 75 would nail you what, a C or a D? Okay, so in other words, the computer algorithm is not super confident that 496 is the right number. Okay, and that should be your script with a client. Is, hey, this gives me an idea. It's by no means what we, it's by no means the gospel, right? You can also see the last market sales using this section, and you can see all the way back to 1996. This goes even further back. This goes back to 1980 when the whole house was originally sold. Okay, and if you're asking, a lot of people are asking, where do I get the deed book and the deed page for the legal description? That's it right there. It's also right up here. Okay, can also see mortgage history, and it looks like the owners of this particular property refied it, or somebody refied it back in 2020, and took an FHA refi on it. Okay, so that's kind of the baseline of what we're looking for, but the main body of what we need is right up here. So now we're going to go look for comparables. All right, so you go to your F8, your first MLS. Any questions on anything before I move past it? I rocketed through that really, really quickly. I'm going to take that silence as a no. Okay, so now I want to look for comparables. All right, I want to look at all of the possibilities: active under contract, hold, withdrawns, expires, everything. So I'm going to select all. And then for the sake of easy typing, I'm going to cut and paste the address into my search bar. I'm going to come out and I'm going to look for, let's just go for, I don't know, a mile away. And then I got to type my address in again. And I have 84 matches. Wow, that's a lot. I'm going to shrink my area down to about a half a mile. Now I have 17 matches. That might work. It might not. Let's dig a little bit deeper. If you wanted to, you can kind of look and you can kind of see, you know what, half mile may not be enough. Let's kind of stretch things out a little bit that way. But at least you can kind of get an idea of where they're all at. Okay. I want to make sure I'm comparing apples to apples. This is where a lot of people are like, oh, well, I just don't only want to look at the homes that are very, very close in the same neighborhood, and they might narrow it down to the subdivision. Not a fan. So here's where we go back to this criteria in this section right up here. I want to look at other homes that are 4 bedrooms, that are roughly 2,300 square feet, that are roughly built around 1979, because it doesn't do a darn bit of good to compare a home that was built in 2017 to a home that was built in 1979. Do we all agree on that? Okay. So now I want to look at other 4-bedroom homes. And I'm going to just, for the sake of argument, our house was built in 1979. I'm going to go 5 years on plus or minus on either side of this. So I'm going to look for 1974 to 1984. Plus or minus 5 years. I now have 14 comparable homes. Okay. Well, somebody tell me, what is the ideal sample size for a CMA? How many homes do you want to have compared?
3.
3.
Okay. Survey says 3. Somebody says 5. I'm going to say 6 to 8.
Wow.
6 to 8 homes is a good sample size of us for a CMA. Any more than that, you're going to confuse yourself and your client. Any less than that, and you may have outliers. You may not get the right numbers. All right. So just based off of that, let's see. So we have 14 comparables. Gosh, all of them are fairly close. If I was really, really particular, let's look at the results. Our home, which subdivision is our home? Holly Springs Crossing. If you really wanted to get down to it, you can come in here, you can go into the subdivision, and does anybody remember, was it spelled Holly? Okay. Holly, and I'm just going to put the asterisk for the wild card in here. You know what? My typing is really small. Let me try to increase our size here. Does this help everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Hey, Jay, while you're doing that, on the left side where it says status, is there a reason that active, withdrawn, and expired are highlighted? Active, under contract, sorry, the three of those.
Yes, because so you can set these to defaults for only looking at active. So for example, if you were only going to be setting up an email search for somebody and you only wanted to look at active, you wouldn't want to look at all of these. But because you're looking for comparables, you want to see everything, whether it's active, whether it's under contract, coming soon, pendings, holds, withdrawns, expires. Withdrawns and expires can sometimes tell you what a home won't sell for. Okay. If you have a withdrawn that, was priced too high, and I think we're going to see one of these examples of this coming up here in a second, that can sometimes tell you, okay, this is what a home won't sell for. All right. Did that answer your question, Kagan?
But the check mark is yes. But you see how it's like blue on the right? Say active doesn't have that blue, but active, under contract, coming soon, pending. The whole doesn't have it. Closed doesn't have it. Are they still selected?
They're still select. I see what you mean. How it's activated.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can set this up as one of your default settings. My default settings are active, holds, and closed. And I think if you select one of the others, that's why it's highlighted.
Okay, now it makes sense.
Okay.
So it's not just selecting off of that. Okay.
No, it's just a systems thing. Okay. So based off of entering that criteria, when I'm looking only at homes within the subdivision, I have a sample size of 6 homes, or a potential sample size of 6 homes. Okay, so that's not bad. Let's take a look at them. Okay, so they're all within that tiny little Holly subdivision, Holly Springs or whatever it was. Yeah, Holly Springs. Actually, one of them is in Holly Mill because I use the wild card. So there's an example of how a wild card can work to your advantage. Okay, so let's look at each one of these homes, and I'm going to say we're going to do a primary.
Sorry, Jay.
Yeah.
Quick question. Could you explain the wild card a little second before you get into
Yes.
that?
Okay. Wildcard is your best friend. So this little asterisk, if I was to put Holly in there, notice 0 matches. Okay. If I wanted to look for anything that contained the word Holly, I would put an asterisk after it, and it's going to have anything that has the word Holly in it. If you really wanted to get particular, you could put a wild card, the asterisk ahead of it, and say, for example, there was a North Holly Springs or a South Holly Springs. It would find any word on either side of Holly that fit that. Okay, so this actually works to your advantage, because sometimes when you do a search and you get somebody that's like, oh, I only want to live in Bentwater. Well, Bentwater has Bentwater North, Bentwater South, Bentwater, Country Club. There's different sections of a particular subdivision, and you may only want to look at one particular section of it. And depending upon how the listing agent labeled it, if you only put Bentwater in, it might not recognize it. Okay. I've even seen inexperienced agents that will put it in Bentwater phase 1 or phase 2 because that's what's in the legal description. Doesn't work that way. You're going to confuse it, and if somebody else doesn't know how to use a wild card, you may be eliminating a possibility. Okay, so let's look at each one of these, and I'm going to do a primary search, and then I'm going to do a secondary search. So one, we've already looked at our subject house. We've already seen some visuals of what it looks like. It's a contemporary. In case anybody was wondering, let's just review and look at it again real quick. It's a contemporary. It's been well maintained. It's been painted recently. It's got a great, it's been updated with front doors, windows. It's got a koi pond, cement pond, if you will, in the back. If anybody remembers Beverly Hillbillies. Nicely updated, modernized, pretty much throughout. This is great. We're doing this because it's an active listing, so we can actually see pictures. The difficulty is in when you're trying to price a home for a listing and you've never seen the interior of it before. So you have to make some guesses a little bit. Okay, so now everybody look like what we're comparing it to. Everybody comfortable with this so far? All right, so now let's look for homes that look like this. Okay, so this is the actual listing. You never want to include the subject house in your CMA. Okay, so I'm just gonna skip right past this one. All right, let's look at this particular house. So this is a withdrawn at 380, and it was on the market and withdrawn after 22 days. Is this a good comp? Okay, it is a contemporary. Wow. Original wood trim, original ceilings. Gosh, that could very well be original carpet. Windows have all need to be replaced, so the seals are all broken there. Original kitchen. Is this a good comparable?
No.
It's not a good comparable. It might be a comparable, but not a good comparable. All right. So on my primary search, I'm not going to put a check mark up here indicating that I'm going to use it. I might come back to it, but let's just see what else we got. Okay. Here's one 4-bedroom. This one's only 1,900 square feet. Our home is what, 2,300? Am I remember right? 2,300. So this is considerably smaller. It's an expired listing at 550. Okay, it's smaller than this one. Let's look at it. Okay, maybe some areas have been updated, but not much. Wow, kitchen's original. Divided, horrible kitchen. No updated bathrooms. Wow. Okay, so anybody have any guesses why it's expired? I do.
Price too high.
Absolutely,
Way too
it's priced
high.
too high. Way, way, way too high. All right. So right now, immediately, Mr. Jordan Barreto, I don't have a whole lot of respect for your abilities to, one, either do a CMA or two, manage your client's expectations. And he wasted 119 days of his time, energy, and effort on a home that had no chance of selling whatsoever. Okay, let's look at this one. All right, so here is a 4-bedroom, 3,200 square feet. So it's considerably bigger, but look at the source of the square footage. The source of the square footage is the owner. How reliable do you think that is? Probably not. I'd have question marks about it. All right, it's a contemporary. Looks like it's been well maintained over the years. Ooh, updated kitchen. Looks like the windows have been replaced. Very nice kitchen. What do you see in the background over there, back there? Pool. Okay, so this could very well be our strongest comp, just by looking at it right away. Updated bathrooms, powder room, flooring's been updated, shower. Oh my goodness. A blue paint can exploded in this bedroom. And some grass green carpet. You guys gotta love this. But it's got even a downstairs kitchen in the basement kitchenette. Okay, backyard, nice in-ground pool. This is a very strong comparable in my opinion. All right, it sold at 480. All right, so now our goal is, we're still looking for more comparables, but one of our main objectives is, okay, is 515 listing price for this home? Because this one has a pool, it's a little bit larger square footage. Is 515 out of bounds? I don't know, we'll see. Let's keep going. Okay, here's another contemporary, 4 bedrooms, only 1,700 square feet, so smaller than our home, our subject home. But let's just look for some visual cues here. Updated kitchen, nice flooring, painted, some wood trim, a natural wood trim. I would say a tasteful amount, whereas some of the other rooms clearly have had the trim painted, which is going to be a desirable factor. See, now you've got white trim. Nice bathrooms. This is a good comp. Everybody agree? Okay, and then this one is our 6th one. And all right, is this well maintained? Looks like it's, well, first off, it's only got one picture. It was estate owned with no disclosures, and it sold at $350. So we can't tell a whole lot about this one. It's 1,600 square feet. It was built roughly the same time frame. It's same square footage. I'm not confident in using this as a comparable because this could be completely trashed inside. We just don't know. Okay. So now, remember, I have 2 check marks on here. Is 2 check marks a big enough sample size? Oh,
No.
actually, you know what? I'm going to include this one. Well, no, I'm not, because 550 is not a good comparable. This one is withdrawn. Again, I'm not a good comparable. So that tells me I've only got 2 in my sample size. So I might need to change my criteria a little bit, right? Because I'm shooting for 6 to 8. So let's do this. Let's get rid of the Holly. I now went from 6 comparables to 14. Let's look at the list again. Okay, this one is a 4 bedroom. It's 2,000 square feet, built in 1980. Is this a contemporary home? No, more traditional. But I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about with this one. What do you guys think?
I would say no.
I'm probably going to say no too, but at least initially, until I know what my sample size is going to be, I'm going to check it, and then I might revisit it. All right. So we're going to skip over our subject house. This one is pending at 475. This is a very traditional home, very blocked out, very open-ended, not a good comparable in my mind. Okay, here's this one again that was withdrawn at 380. I'm going to try not to use it, but I might. This one's I'm not. Traditional home, colonial even style home. I'm going to say no, no. This one we've already established is a good comparable. This one is our best comparable in my opinion so far. All right, here's another one. Again, traditional. I'm going to say no. Yeah, if I'm going fast, holler. But I think you guys are kind of getting the idea. The key in doing an effective CMA is finding homes that look like are similar to, and a lot of y'all give up too soon. You look within the same subdivision and then you don't go further out. Okay, here's another traditional home. I'm going to say no. Kind of hard to tell from that picture. That looks like it's a contemporary, but it's kind of hard to tell. What do y'all think of the photography on this one?
It's trash.
It's
Terrible.
cell phone. It is absolutely horrible. Don't be this agent. Spend some money on some cell phone pictures or on professional photography. I'm going to say no. Not a good comp. And now we're back. Okay. So now I still only have three comps. Guess what it's time to do? There's only 3 comps within a half mile. It's time to expand out a little bit. Let's go to a mile. Now I've got 25. Let's go through the same exercise again. Okay, this one I think I had checked it. Let's keep going. I'm gonna say no. That's our subject, no. That's a traditional home, no. That's the one that's withdrawn. I checked that one before, didn't I? What do y'all think?
Possibly. I mean, it's
Yeah,
somewhat
I put
traditional,
possible.
but they've opened it up and it's updated. And square
agree.
footage is more, but it's 4.3.
But the
It's
price is also
4.3.
quite high, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So price
It's a
might
lot
not.
bigger too.
Yeah, I agree with y'all. It's not a carbon copy. It's not the best comp, but it is a comp, in my opinion. All right, let's look at this one. Okay, traditional brick front. Ours is contemporary. Price point's in the right ballpark, but I'm going to say no, at least initially. We already said no to that one. This one is a good one. This one is a great one. No, no. Contemporary look. Y'all agree?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now we have 6. We have 6 that we have checked. So now this looks very muddy. All right. I'm not thrilled with only 6. I'd like to have more. Was one of these? I'm going to include this one because I think 550 overpriced tells me what it won't sell for. I'm going to say no already. And then we said no to this one too. Okay, so now I have 7. So this looks really muddy, right? Everybody know you can hit this refine and narrow. And now you're only going to look at the ones that you had the checkbox on. I just blew Jessica's mind. Did you all see that? Okay, so now I have a sample size of an active home. I have a couple that are either withdrawn or expired, and I have a sample size of closed. All right, let's talk a little bit about philosophy on these. Actives are what somebody wants to get, right? They haven't sold yet. They haven't gone under contract yet. So that price may be a good one. It may not be a good one. Okay. Withdrawns and expireds. Withdrawns, you just don't know. I mean, the seller could have passed away in their sleep, and that's why it was withdrawn. But expireds can indeed tell you what a home won't sell for in many cases. Okay, especially in this seller's market. So that tells us something. But we're going to put the most weight on closed homes because that's reality. All right. And in fact, the most weight that we might put is on the one that is the most similar to ours, which, if I'm remembering right, was this one. Is this the one? This is the one that had the pool, wasn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. So now we have our mix here. And now what I'm trying to do is think about, all right, I'm going to pick the comp that is the closest to this one. And we already had established that it's this particular home. One, because it's roughly the same square footage. It's roughly the same age. It's the exact same age, 1979. The lot size is almost exactly the same. All right. And it was listed at 475 and ended up selling at 480. Okay. How long was it on the market? It was on the market for 6 days. And there were no seller paid closing costs, and it sold at 101%, and it was a conventional loan.
And Jay,
right.
this one's about 1,000 square feet bigger, isn't it?
It is. That's a very valid point. But the source is the owner. Okay. So here's one way.
In the basement area too.
It could very well. So you want to talk about how to figure that out? I'm going to go to the realist tab right here. I'm going to pull this house up, and remember those details that we looked at on the realist tab? Let's look at building square foot. For tax purposes, it's 2,500 square feet. The MLS has it at 3,200. So this is an agent that took above ground square footage and below ground square footage totaled, added them up, and that's how you come up with the 3,200. But for tax purposes, 2,500 square feet in above ground square footage, I would say this is pretty comparable to our house. Okay. Everybody follow the logic of that? All right. So now my question becomes, and let's just assume that I'm doing this for a buyer, is 515 too much? Because we've got another comparable home, our closest comparable sold for 480 and did so within the last, well, they did it in July. They ended up closing in, well, they actually closed in August. They were supposed to close in July, but they ended up closing in August at 480. So the question then becomes, can I justify 515 versus 480 for this? That's what is that? $45,000 difference? One, this was in the last summer. It's been updated nicely. So let's see how things compare here. This basement is inferior to our subject basement. Would everybody agree? I'm trying to find the pictures of the basement in this one. Wow, there's a lot of exterior photos. Okay, so some of the things you can note on the exterior: much more deck space, much more outdoor living space. Pool is better landscaped, in my opinion. Koi pond, under deck area. That right there could be potentially the justification. Okay, here's the basement in, is this the basement or is this the main floor? This is the main floor, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Is anybody having a hard time figuring out which room is the basement on this? I thought the basement was inferior. Maybe it's not. All right, let's go back. All right. So this does have that small kitchenette in the basement. Man, this is dated. Other than the paint, carpet needs to go. Okay, so you have one deck on the outdoor of this property. You do have the pool. The pools are comparable because they're both lined. So they're not gunite, either one. I think the subject house has a lot more going for it in the backyard. $45,000? Nah, I would probably think that that's a good stretch. If I was the listing agent, I probably would go with, I would say that 515 is probably pretty darn close. I think Julia's issue when she was doing the CMA for this, a lot of people were saying, oh, I think it's priced way too high. I don't think it's priced that too high.
Jay,
Okay.
plus it has a brand new roof.
Say
It
again?
has a brand new roof.
Brand new roof. Okay. So it's got brand new roof. It's also got new windows. They redid the front door. Everything was painted. The deck had been painted. All of that deck and had been restained and painted. Yeah. So what? And then I would make a strong argument that 550 is definitely too high. The reality is somewhere in between. Let's look at this one that was at 520. Okay, this one is not a true contemporary, but I'd say it's plausible as still a decent comparable. Kitchen's updated. So a lot of this is going to come at some point, going to come down to gut feel. It was listed at 540, ended up selling at 520. I can see why. Y'all follow the logic behind that?
It feels more like a modern farmhouse than closer to contemporary.
A little bit. I can't argue with that. But I still think because it's in the same area, it's roughly the same age, the lot size is roughly exactly the same, and the square footage is exactly the same. I still think it's possible that an appraiser could potentially use this as a comp. And if an appraiser could, you can. Okay. So let's go back to our single line view. And now we have picked comparables. Okay. Do all of them have a pool? No. But the good ones do. That one. All right. So now, and I've already got 10 minutes over. Forgive me. But I think it's important to follow that logic flow. The next step of this process would be then doing the analytics behind this, which you can do very quickly by doing a quick CMA. And you can see the breakdown of how these look. Okay, so you can see there's the one active listing, you can see the closed, and you can get some analytics of, okay, the minimum, maximum, average, and the median. So the average sales price of all of the homes that we compared was $499, and they sold for $474. And they then they sold on average 96% of the list price, and they were closing within 18 days. Okay. Likewise for the one withdrawn, it's only one, so the analytics on that are not as great. Okay, so we're going to stop here. So what is our conclusion from doing this exercise? Is 515 the right number?
I would say that, I mean, obviously none of us are experts in this. I would say that maybe a little higher, but not without reason. I'm sure someone may be willing to pay that, even though maybe it's a little higher than some people would have gone.
I agree. If I was the listing agent, I think I'd probably steer right around somewhere between 510 and 520. So I think it's priced fairly appropriately. Okay. That is if I'm the listing agent. Now, if I'm the buyer's agent, that's a whole different question altogether. Do I think, and this is where, was it Guggen, your question about appraisal? Do I think that if I bought it at 515, it would likely appraise? Honestly, I do. Would I, if I was representing a buyer though, would I try to make an argument that it's high? I probably would. It's all a matter of who you're representing in the process.
It does have a strong backyard, which is a really big feature.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Interior wise, it's pretty darn comparable to the one that's 480. In fact, the one at 480, the interior might be slightly superior because that kitchen, main open concept family room is going to be highly desirable. But the backyard, for somebody that is all about the backyard living and wants the koi pond and the a little extra space and things back there, I think it's highly marketable at 515. So that's where we're at. Next time, we're going to pick up right here, and then we're going to talk about how to take this and the analytics and the numbers and the conclusions that you've drawn from this exercise and put it into a format that is presentable. Sound like a plan? Yes, Miss Jessica.
I don't know if you want to do one as well. Basically this concept, but with homes that are priced for bidding wars kind of thing, if that makes sense. Like, how do you help your customer with a home that's clearly priced to sell?
Okay.
How do you help your buyer determine what price they want to put in when you know whatever they do is going to be overpriced? Just a thought. Over list price.
Okay. So how much further over list price is it going to take to get to win the bidding war? Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a good point. So yes, we can spin it a different way, and we can try to do it from a buyer perspective on the next one. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
You're going to help me with that in our coaching session today.
Oh,
Spoiler
boy.
alert.
I can't wait. So that's two different questions though. One is the price. Two, then when you're putting an offer in and it's for a bidding war, price is only one element of it. There are many others. There's price, there's earnest money, there's risk, there's contingencies and removal of contingencies. So all things that you got to think about. Okay.
Yep.
So price is not the only factor. So, but the exercise and the logic process of what we just did is exactly the same regardless. Okay. All right, everybody. Anybody last minute questions or alibis? If you do, see me after. If you're not willing to raise a red flag now and you want to get the heck out of Dodge because I'm 15 minutes late. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.